Hey, this week on the 167, we're wrapping up Back to Better. We're previewing our next series move and having a 7-minute story. Welcome to the 167. Hey, welcome back to the 167. We are here with my older brother, Pastor Rick George.
Good morning, Brother Lucas.
My younger brother. And then our younger brother,
Good morrow, bro. Sorry.
Jake
If you're
Reeves.
just listening, I covered my mustache to be as Mennonite as possible.
Oh, brother Jacob, brother Richard.
Ezekiel's
Yes.
out in the field, and
And I am with you today as Pastor Lucas Molly. Next week, maybe not.
yeah.
I don't know. That intro needs some work. But hey, this week was our last week of Back to Better.
Yes, it was. Wrapped it up 5 weeks, right? That was
Yeah.
like
Wrapped it up,
Yeah,
put a
it was
little
like a
bow
winner.
on it.
Yeah.
The corners were not quite as straight, I don't think, as like, when our wives wrap packages. But
We tried.
are you guys the package wrapper in your house? Or
No.
no, absolutely not. Yeah, me neither. I actually have my oldest daughter, Vivian, I have her wrap Carissa's presents because she's good at it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not good at that.
The only reason I wrap packages is so it's wrapped with love.
And lots of tape.
Yeah. Like,
I'm thankful for gift bags. Just shove it in the bag, put some tissue paper, boom.
It's like real, the person that doesn't it when it's like real tissues. I've actually seen that where somebody was like, what? They said to put tissues in it. And I was like, no, tissue paper. They just stuff tissues.
no,
in
works.
stuff.
Just a whole box of tissues.
All right. Well, I just want to begin today with asking, we've been in this for 5 weeks talking about getting better. Is there something from the series or is there something right now in your life that you are trying to get better at, that you're taking steps to better yourself in an area?
Yeah, so I'm trying to get better at wrapping gifts.
No, I was assuming wrapping.
Just
Like,
wrapping.
There we go. Sorry.
Yeah, so
Can this podcast slowly merge just us being the pentatonics?
Yeah.
So things, do you have any, like a specific direction, just in general in life? Is that what you're asking? Things that we're trying to get better at?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, lots of things. I was just talking to somebody last night, and I said, like, I'm constantly trying to get better in my preaching because if I listen to myself or I see, the video and I'm watching, it's like, oh, my gosh, like, I got to change that. So I'm always looking at ways to improve my speaking skills, the way I communicate. There's certain things about my mannerisms, those kinds of things that just irritate me. So I'm trying to get better at that. Try to get better, and you guys will laugh at this, but I'm
Now
trying
I feel
to
like
get.
I have to laugh at
No,
this.
I'm trying to get better at acknowledging people and encourage them, and so you guys will probably laugh. Like, what? you still need a lot of work in that area. So yeah, there's lots of areas, just personally that I realize I need to get better at this because I'm just not very good.
I know previously I have had a do not touch rule. Would it help you in that encouragement thing if I repealed the do not touch rule so you could
Yes, yeah,
give me
it
back
would.
massages when I do a
So-
good job?
But I just wanted to say you guys are looking great today. You're doing a fabulous job so far in the podcast. I'm really thankful that
you.
you're part of my
This has
life.
been the
And
best
you're doing good.
4 minutes.
You could see that I was racked with insecurity so far in the first couple minutes.
This has been the
Keep up
greatest
the good
4
work,
minutes.
guys. You are doing fabulous. The gray beard is looking good on you.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, you're gonna still have to work on that.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm trying, guys.
So this series actually timed out really well with just a random another series that I was just kind of listening to podcasts. Craig Rochelle was preaching a series on just different mental health things.
Yeah.
And but one of the weeks he had something that I realized that I'm really bad at, and the thing he brought up was, who's the number one person that talks to you the most? It's you.
Yeah.
Like, it's the own dialogue you have going in your head constantly. And he's like, what's the first dialogue thing going on in your head when you wake up? And I was like, mine typically, unfortunately, was like, what's going to happen to me today? Like, what what is going to happen to me today. And so I have been trying to get better at the first thing I do when I wake up is I try to think the thought, God, what are you going to do today? like what can I see that you're doing? So trying to improve that internal self-dialogue.
So then your second thought should be, I wonder what Pastor Rick's going to say to encourage me today.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the
like,
next...
I can't wait to get to the office to hear the encouraging word from Pastor
and,
Rick.
And so it's great as I'm getting challenged to be better. Yeah, I'm working on that.
That's great. Mine, I think, actually came from this series. You had challenged us, I think it might have been week 2 or 3. It was week 3 that you said what's normal isn't always healthy. And I've been really trying to examine what are some of my things for me that I think are normal and try and get feedback and read different perspectives where I'm going, maybe that's not healthy. Like what I think is, like Chris and I always joke where we talk about the ways that we were brought up and like the ways we interact with our family. And it's like for everybody, that's normal. Like you can have kids that grow up in an abusive home and they're like, oh, this is what love is.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. And so really just, examine like what are the daily habits and practices that I have that I view as normal that make me feel normal and maybe they're not healthy.
No, that's a good one that's been rattling around.
Good deal.
Yeah. So one of the great things this week when you were wrapping up, I thought a great point that you were making was that we have to be able to acknowledge that we don't know everything. And I mean, that's, I think, the beginning of wisdom where we go, well, maybe I don't, maybe I don't know everything. But I think it's interesting as Christ followers, how do we have a good grasp on fundamentals? Like we have a saying, we're a non-denominational church and we say in the essentials, we have unity. In
the non-essentials, we have liberty.
Yeah, and then everything we have charity.
Jeez.
And so how do we find that? How do we find that balance between being confident and solid in our faith and yet open to correction and open to knowing that maybe we don't know everything?
I don't know.
Hey, that is you're acknowledging that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
It is a tough question because you have to have a fair amount of confidence in what you believe and the depth that you believe it to be able to go out and to be countercultural, like to live the life that Christ wants you to live. There has to be that confidence that, like, I'm doing what I believe is the right thing to do, which you should. And then there are things that then get filtered in and they're not the essentials, but they're important. And so it's trying to figure out what are the things that are important but maybe not essential, and how important are they? Mm-hmm. How much effort should I put into defending this thing? And how much of it is it's what I believe, it's how I live my life, and it's what I choose to embrace. But there is a little flexibility in there. Does that make sense? So,
yeah.
But it's a fine line because on you step over the line on one end, then you're like, well, nothing really matters. You just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if you step over too far on the other side of the line, then it's everything that I think and everything I believe is right, and you can't convince me otherwise. And it tends to take you to this place of legalism, and so where is that line and how far can you step over? I don't know. I mean, that's the real challenge. And everyone wrestles with that. And so I don't do a good job of that because there are things that I probably have chosen to die on a hill for that when I get to heaven, Jesus is going to say, really? Yeah, really? It was kind of an important thing for you, but you probably shouldn't have died on the hill on that one.
Yeah. I can't answer in a broad scope of this is how you know, but I can say in my own experience, this became the most real for me when I did go through my master's program, mainly because I was forced to read books by people far smarter than me. And, I've read plenty of, I don't know if you want to call them necessarily self-help Christian books, but kind of that lighter reading, on topical stuff. But having to read books by people that think way deeper about God than I ever have. And we read both sides of arguments. And all of a sudden, as I went deeper and deeper and I stared more and more at these intricacies of God, I'm like, holy cow, I don't think.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it didn't shake my faith because I became more and more convinced of those essentials of the faith, of that Jesus did exist. He did go to the cross, that our sins are paid for. But it did make me realize, like, Jake, you know, on a lot of these things, like even on some ethical issues and stuff, like you need to at least have an open ear because holy cow, your brain could explode from some of the stuff. But,
Yeah. Well, and I think there's an attitude of humility about it too, where it's like, am I already setting out to prove my own thesis? Am I,
yeah.
you know, is this dividing me and somebody else because I'm like, well, you and I disagree on this and we can't even talk to each other. But like, I think that there's some humility where I'm going, if I go into a situation, either I'm going to do the research and I'm going to be more solidified and more foundational about what I believe, or it might change my opinion on that. You know, it's just like, I think it's okay to go in, you know, you and I are talking about some obscure piece of theology and I'm like, well, I'll read the book that you're, you know, giving me. And maybe I go in there and go, oh, well, he's got a point here, but you know, like,
I feel like something happens too, like if you read something on the other side of the aisle from where we are, whatever it is, like you might get done and be like, nah,
Yeah.
you know, but I feel like there's a piece of just having listened to it that you're like, all right, when I have arguments with these people, not that I can be more righteous now, but I can have a little more patience, you know, and
well, there was even a book
Like-
that I was recently reading that was on my side of the argument. I started reading this book and I'm like, oh, this will be great. I can reinforce my argument. And about 3 chapters in, I'm like, am I wrong? Like, you know, like the book was so, like the argument was so poorly put out there that I was like, maybe I'm not on the right side of this issue. And then like I got to like chapter 6 and 7, I was like, this is what I usually argue about this issue.
Yeah,
But like the first 3-4 chapters, I was like, maybe I'm on the
Yeah.
wrong side of this issue.
yeah.
But I think that I think you can have an attitude of grace of saying, hey, let's talk about this.
100%.
But
Yeah. And again, the main point of that is, in my mind, I was trying to communicate was, if you are always right, if you know everything about everything, well, the chances of you getting better are pretty slim,
right.
because you can never learn anything. You could never grow. Like you're always the smartest person in the room. You're always the one who has, you know, the edge on people. And it's like,
I feel like if someone is that, they should have the largest ministry in the world. They should be, you know, people should be flocking to them because they're always
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
So, which they don't, but
That's not generally what you see. Usually
I'm-
it's the internet jockeys that have, you know, like a ministry of 50 people that are like, I'm right about this. And then,
obviously I'm being facetious, but
Yeah.
No,
100%,
yeah.
like
Everybody should just be like, wow, you are so good.
I will,
you are the heart of wisdom.
I will bask in your glow.
Yeah. So what are some tips? Like we're closing down this series. And one of the other points that you made was to make small steps, you know, to choose small steps and do that. And so I just wondered, like, if we could give some tips, like when we have something like that, we're like, hey, I want to get better at this. I'm just going to make small steps every day. What's some of the tips that you have where it's like setting that goal, that long-term goal, and then, you know, making those steps and continuing in that?
Do the next right thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's bring Frozen into it.
Yeah. Which, yes, that's part of it, but it's developing a mindset with a system in place that says, okay, I want to get better in worship, in the way that I worship, in the express. Like I want to be more engaged. I want to, you know, just to have a deeper experience when I worship. And so, to say this week when I go to church, I'm going to do whatever, and you just make like I'm gonna make I'm gonna move. I'm gonna do something.
Shake those hips.
Yeah. And then throughout the week, I'm going to intentionally put worship music on, and in the privacy of my own personal worship, begin to be more expressive with nobody around, just me and Jesus. And then next week, when I show up at church, I'll take another step. I'll try to do something else. And instead of having the mindset, excuse me, where, you know, I haven't been lifting my hands. That's not something I'm used to doing. And so this week I'm going to go in and full out, hands to the ceiling,
Taking a praise banner.
wave them like,
Like you just don't
like
care.
I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
and it's like, okay, you don't have to go from 0 to 100. Just get the car moving.
Do the non-denom. Do the hands
Yeah.
out, palms up.
Yeah,
And then move to the one hand.
yeah, just a little bit of, just something. So the
Just on
old
the
saying,
bridge.
yeah, the old saying is, it's hard to steer a parked car. Right? So when you get the car, even if it's rolling a little bit, you can steer it. You don't have to.
I've never heard that, but now I'm going to say that all the time.
So
Can't steer a parked car.
that's right. So get moving, do something, 1%, 5%, just get a little bit better, make baby steps.
Yeah, I think that's excellent. And like I said, I think that is something that, like when you talk about worship, it's that thing where people expect to be struck by lightning. It's this like, oh, well, someday God's going to hit me and I'm just going to be like, hands in the air, and it's like, no, you are in control of your own body.
Right. And it's just conscious decisions to say, I will do this. Maybe it's Bible reading. Like, I just want to learn more about God's word. Well, it's not going to just happen. You have to say, tomorrow I'm going to spend 5 minutes reading the Bible. But most people don't do that. They're like, I'm going to have to get up an hour early and have an hour of Bible study plan.
I'm going to read the Bible in a year.
That's a great goal, but start with a couple of minutes. Start with, I want to open my Bible and read 3 verses or something. Just start somewhere.
That is the largest shift probably in my last 2 years of life. That is like, not that I'm trying to stay on brand today, but the self-talk of like anytime I tried to get in a rhythm of reading scripture or something, I'd fall off, and then that self-talk would be like, you're so stupid. Like, you don't love Jesus that much. Yeah. Like, why did you stop? And then I just like implode on myself and then have to restart all over. And one of the best things that I've done is there's a lot that's really not helpful and healthy on like reels and stuff. One of the best things I saw was a running thing, and it said, you need to like stop worrying about the pace that you're running, because right now, whatever pace you're at is faster than somebody who's on a couch.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't you can't drive a parked car. And so anytime I'm like, I don't have 45 minutes right now to spend in the Word. Ooh, but you have 10. Like that is more than if you just said, well, not today,
Yeah. Sometimes actually doing the activity is the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like recently I started working out with new workout partners, and one of them asked me, they're like, oh, like, have you dropped any weight? And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, what? I'm like, we don't have a scale in our house. And he's like, well, how do you know, like, you're hitting your, I was just like, I'm here. Like, that's the, like, that's the thing. I am here at the gym lifting with you.
2 years ago, me would not be.
Yeah. And I'm going, it's a disruptive thing anyway, because like a lot of times if you're lifting, you actually gain weight.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, that's not a metric that I'm interested in.
So I don't know if I lost weight, but I can button my pants now. That's a good thing.
You know when your body's feeling better.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing spiritually. I mean, like, even if you're in the Word 5-10 minutes a day and you haven't been at all, you are going to
notice the difference.
You're going to notice a difference.
And I would jump off a little bit. What you were saying is, I heard somebody describe this once as the art of oops, is to be able to just go, oops.
I did it again.
Well, yes. Oops.
There it is.
Did it
Oh,
again.
there you go. Oop.
So, but I mean, like the art of oops is of saying like, it's not that like, I didn't go to the gym today. I'm an utter failure. I got to put in 3 workouts tomorrow. And it's just like, I didn't get to the gym. I'll go today.
Yeah.
Hey, like, I forgot to read my Bible. Hey, I'll catch it at lunchtime. And not be discouraged, but to keep on like pressing on to do that, where it's like, like we talked about. Well, I talked about this in my sermon. It was.
Oh yeah, it was me.
We had this great conversation, Lucas.
This incredibly wise man,
Doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor.
No, I was actually taken by this when I read that article on the people that hold their breath.
Oh, yeah.
They just stay under 15 seconds longer and longer and longer. I'm like, 15 seconds is nothing, but when you're underwater, it's.
I remember saying something in a sermon that was so profound, and it was just, I was amazed.
I remember one of the best compliments I received
was from me. I said I did a good job.
No, yeah.
I put on my Pastor Rick mask and give myself verbal affirmation.
Yeah,
in the
apparently I
mirror.
need to do better in the verbal affirmations of. I remember that, Luke. That was a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
thanks.
so
It was.
moved by that holding my breath. I've been holding my breath 15 seconds longer every day. So
Thank you, Google.
Yes.
Nice.
So I do. I think that that's just staying in it and, like I said, not getting down on yourself. So we concluded the series. We're getting ready, though, to do a big church-wide series, church-wide initiative with life groups, move groups. So tell me about something that you're excited about in the new move series.
What excites me about the sermons, like we had to prepare ahead of time to get all the life group material written and get everything prepared. So, I've been churning on the information for, 8 weeks or something. And so I'm just excited to be able to deliver the messages that I've been spending time with over the past 8 weeks. So that part, it's like, come on, let's just get it going. But beyond that, it's being able to watch our church family hear God's word, hear the vision, the clarity of the vision, being able to comprehend new people. Like there are a lot of people that are part of our church that were not part of our church a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so just to watch them grow in their understanding of where we've been, who we are, and then where God is taking us, and then just seeing that play out over the next several months or year as we prepare to move into a new facility. So I think I'm just looking forward to seeing the life change in the lives of people in our church as they kind of get on board with just being generous. And it's not just financially generous, it's just living a generous life.
I love that too. I love the disruption that it causes in people's lives where they'll come back and they're honestly shocked. They're like, we got inspired by that generosity thing and we went and did this thing as a family and man, that's weird. And you're just like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What are some of the things we're looking forward to?
I'm stoked to the series that we're preaching is a step of faith, and I guess a cheating thing is some of us, we had our move groups last night, so we're already in it a little bit, and I know ours. I wasn't. So full disclosure, as a staff, sometimes this is our 4th time going through this. And so sometimes it can be like, all right, I know what I'm doing, paint by numbers, type thing. And you're like, you're excited for the end goal, but you're like, all right, I've been here. But we were in group and it got really serious really fast, talking about faith and stuff. And there were tears shed and we ended up praying over people, and it was cool. I'm excited to see our body engage with those steps of faith and those words that God has given them and promises.
So the series is entitled "A Step of Faith," and those steps of faith, those little steps that we just talked about. It doesn't mean that I have no faith and now suddenly I've got to have this massive amount of faith. It's the mustard seed that you had talked about. It's just take a small step, just step into faith a little bit, and see what God will do with that, and then take the next step.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've gotten to go through it twice already because I went with my group on Sunday night and then last night at move groups on Monday. And if you're listening to this and you haven't had a chance, if you need to get in a life group where you can come on Monday nights at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, we're doing move groups. We're going to discuss all this. But like I said, same thing. I always, my Sunday night group is 18 to 25 year olds, and you're like, they're young adults, they're college kids.
How are they going to engage with it?
How are they going to engage with this? Or they think I'm hitting them up for money when they don't have any money. And it's just same thing. We ended the night by laying hands and praying over somebody who really wanted to make a change in their life. And it was just there's something this time around, and I don't know if it's because it's the 4th time through, but even last night at move groups, I placed 2 people in life groups already, and people were coming up afterwards going, how can I get more? A lot of it rose to the surface very quickly. Yeah. And so I'm really kind of looking forward to this too.
Yeah.
But I think another thing that I really look forward to is it gives us an excuse as a staff to reflect. Every time that we go into a move campaign or game changer, we're like, how many baptisms have we done? How many new people have, like, how many lives have been changed? How many kids are here on youth? Like, and we just go, oh my goodness. Like, if we're not paying attention, I think sometimes we miss the things that God is doing in our congregation.
Yeah,
and
so
our lives.
that is an exciting part, to be able to just look and assess and celebrate that, man, God is doing some incredible things all around us. That if you're not careful, you just, you get connected and serving and giving and doing, and then you miss out on all of the incredible things that are happening all around us.
I think what you're saying is that life moves pretty fast sometimes, and if you don't stop and take a look around, you might miss it. No?
Yes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I don't know.
Oh,
What I was going to say is life's moving really fast, and if you don't stop and look around, you're going to miss it.
You're going to miss it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
someone in the YouTube comments saved me on this one.
It's fine. I don't have friends.
Bueller.
I have family.
Bueller.
Just
Bueller.
See, you know that one.
Yeah.
I was trying to place what Fast and Furious movie it was from, and I'm like, that doesn't make
No,
any
it's
sense.
classic
to me.
80s cinema.
There
See,
you go.
That's
But yeah, I look forward to celebrating some of this stuff. Like you said, I look forward to people being challenged.
well, and I'll go. I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
I'm excited because the building's gonna get rolling.
Yeah.
like, and while that's not the core focus of it, it's a big piece that we are excited because it is a cornerstone of the future of what New Life is
is.
going to be.
I'm
So
looking
that's-
forward to the fact that I will never have to drive over those stupid train tracks to come to church ever again in my life.
Dude, I'm gonna one wheel every stinking day. I mean,
Yeah,
for people
you
that don't know, I live like 4 or 5 blocks away from the new location.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think it's going to be great. And we're going to cover some of that stuff in the series. You're going to be talking to people about the new building, the ways that we're going to service the community. So not just what God's doing through us right now, but what we're going to be doing in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's exciting. So I look forward, not just, I look forward every day what God is doing, but there's an excitement of, 5 years from now, where we're going to be, because, like, I'll say it, our world is going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Like, it is, like, culturally, it's like things are just falling apart. And to think that God is going to do some incredible things through us and is doing some amazing things already just fuels that fire in me, that we will have a presence that is so visible, so impactful in our community that we will be able to influence the city of Gardner and surrounding areas in ways that we have not yet been able to do. And we are going to get better as a church. Like, we're walking into better every day.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Like you said, when it gets darker outside, that light shines brighter. It's going to be a beacon on a hill.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for being with us. You guys keep tuning in for more on this Move series that we're going to be doing over the next 6 weeks. And stay tuned for a 7-minute story of people who are being moved and challenged, and God's calling them into different things in their life. So we'll see you next time here on the 167. Hey, welcome back to 7-Minute Stories. I am here with Anna Saylor.
Hello.
Anna, we're going to talk about your personal story today, your 7-minute story. So, should we start way back in the day?
Yeah, sure. Straight up, let's just do it.
All right. Where are you originally from? Did you grow up around Gardner?
I grew up in Gardner, but I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, that's where Hanson's from. You probably don't know who that
I
is.
don't know who that is.
Yeah, that's great. So, you grew up in Gardner, and tell me a little bit about your journey to New Life.
My life started to get bad. Well, like my life was good for like a long time until I was about 7 years old. But like it was almost like, and like I wasn't really a kid. But, like I was. It's difficult, but
You had
like
to grow up fast.
yeah, I had to grow up really fast. And then by the time I was like 7 years old, my brother was born. And then that's when things started changing. My parents started arguing. It got really bad at home, and like it wasn't terrible until like we moved to this one house, and then like my home got really bad. Like it was always arguing, and then that's when Kimberly came into my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went over there, and then I felt more at home there than I did at my actual house. So for about 2 years, I would stay at their house for like weeks at a time, and then like I would go home for like just a couple of days. But I hated it there. Like I would never want to be there, and so. The first time I ever tried to commit suicide, I was 12, and I don't know why, but it was just my parents arguing was like really affecting me that day. And so I tried, and I remember sitting there, and I remember praying to God, like, give me, like, help me, like, I want, like, help me, like, kill me, like, I want to die. And he wouldn't. He made me go to sleep.
Mhm.
And so when I woke up the next morning, I went back to Kimberly's, and I stayed there for about a month. I remember that was the longest I've stayed there, like, for that period of time. And then we got kicked out for COVID, didn't see Kimberly for a long time, so I was stuck at home, and that affected me a lot. And my dad wasn't home. And so it was difficult. And then as I got older, at the end of 7th grade, my family went homeless. And I didn't want to go with them because I knew, so I fully moved in with Kimberly and them. And at that period of time, I was in this toxic relationship. Like, it wasn't a good relationship. It wasn't good for me, but it was the only thing that made me feel like home because I had lost my family. So my home was, like, toxic, so it felt right because it was toxic. Right.
Well, when things leave our lives, like the original thing, sometimes we'll settle for kind of a cheap imitation of that. Mm-hmm. Like, we'll look for that same thing in different places.
Yeah, and so in that period of time, like, I was being controlled, and I was doing things I wasn't really comfortable with. And then I had developed an eating problem. So I lost lots of weight. I went from 110 pounds to 83. And so at that point, it was really, really bad. And then he broke up with me, and he went with this one girl, and I didn't have my family. So it affected me super bad. And I remember going to my prayer session. Like, I remember thinking, what is this? Like, I'm just going to do it. Mom told me to do it. Like, I don't even know what this is. And so whenever we get there, they make us all three sit on a couch. There's a room full of people. Like, I'm nervous. I don't like it. So I try and hide myself at the end of the couch. And so, because I'm always in the middle, and, like, I always am. And so, but I try to hide myself at the end of the couch, hoping that, like, I would go last. But they moved me to the middle. Like, they did. And I was like, what? I was like, how did they know that? And then they prayed for me, and it was changing. And then I got back into that toxic relationship. And I stayed in that. It was good at first. And then, then my family started moving back to, and things were getting good. My dad was back, he was being, he's changed. He was changing. And I seen that, I helped my dad. And then I seen, the work of God. Because all I did was tell him, Dad, everything's going so bad because you're not giving it to God. And I didn't even know that. Mm-hmm. And so that was really cool. And then that's when I started to look more into it. And so I was in that relationship for about 4 more months, and I started to, back away from it. I was like, I'm done. I'm not putting up with this. And then I broke up with him, and then that's when I started to get really, really close with God. I started to focus myself on God and, only God, because that's what I wanted for my life. Mm-hmm. And then once I started doing that, I started to hear more from him. I started to, grow as a person. I've gained lots and lots of weight. I am now 98 pounds, and I eat like I used to, and my family got a house again, and I'm living with them because everything's good. I still live with Kimberly, but I switch off.
So tell me a little bit about some of the big pieces in that story. So you said you got to help your dad, you got to help your mom, and I know your family's been here at the church. So tell me a little bit about what changed for you. When you're saying, I want to check this out, what were some of the big things? You start reading your Bible? Did you start coming to youth? What were some of the big pieces for you?
I started asking questions.
Oh, that's good.
That's what I did. I didn't understand really. And so I started to ask Bestie Mike, questions. About, I was curious, and I was getting more into it. And so I started listening at church, and I started listening at youth group, and I started listening to what God was telling me. And so once I started doing that, I started coming Tuesday night as well. And, hearing other people's lives, that, how Jesus has affected them, that is a big part of, how close I am now, mm-hmm. I feel like. Because I just keep asking questions. I feel driven. I just keep feeling pushed and pushed and pushed to go towards him.
That's good. And then what would you say, what part did prayer play in your story? Because a lot of people are just oh, I'll pray for you, thoughts and prayers. But what did prayer actually do in your life?
It made me feel lighter. It lifted me almost. Just like baptism. I was against baptism. I thought it was weird, and I hated it at first. I was like, that's weird. Why would you do that? And I was against it. And then I started asking questions about it. And so then I did it, and whenever I got out of the water, that feeling, of being lighter. Like you feel like your soul, like it feels lighter and you feel happier. That's how I can explain like the prayers. Like whenever I get prayed over or stuff like that, like when I feel that way, so that pushes me to help other people feel that way, so that they can feel lighter as well.
They feel that joy. They feel like they're just shedding off all that darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So if someone's thinking about that, if someone is thinking about asking questions, or they're kind of in that same situation you're in, they're in a toxic relationship, what advice would you have for them?
What advice? It's okay to say no. Like, it's okay to stand up for yourself. Like, it's okay to be like, I'm going to do this with my family. It's okay to put your foot down.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
And then, so they put down their foot to get out of that toxic relationship, and they're thinking about coming to church or thinking about coming to youth. What do you want to tell them about what should they actually look forward to in a relationship with Jesus Christ?
It's not toxic. It's joyful. Like, it actually brings a smile to your face, and you don't cry yourself to sleep every night or question your worth, or you don't. Like, you sit there and you actually feel joy for the first time. Or maybe it's not your first time. Maybe it's just been missing for a long time. But, like, not only that, but it changes your life. Like, it opens doors for, like, bigger opportunities. And not only that, but you get to help other people as well. And that is a big part of it.
Making a difference for somebody else.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Like I said, I've been really proud of you. Just growing, and like I said, it's not just a self-serving faith, but serving other people. I see how my daughter looks up to you, so appreciate that. Thanks, guys, for joining us here on the 167. If you enjoyed this episode of the 167, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, get notified, leave a 5-star rating and a positive review. Tell all your friends to listen as well. Make sure you go over to newlifegardener.com and check out all that we have to offer as a church, and check out our messages online as well. Thanks for listening.